All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to try to figure out what the y-intercept is based off of these 2 points that were given, -3, 2, 0, 4, or 4, 0. Looking at the graph, you can kind of tell, now you can't get this perfectly, and this is where the disadvantage of having a graph is you can't tell exactly where it is, but I can definitely tell you that it's below 2. Just looking at this graph, because here's 1, here's 2. It's a number smaller than 2, and I'm actually kind of assuming it's a number smaller than 1. In fact, just by looking at this graph, I would say that it's closer to 1 than it is 2. Now, here's one way to figure it out. We've already figured out earlier that the slope, m, is equal to -2/7, right? So what we need to do is we need to say, all right, if the slope is m equals -2/7, if the slope is at negative m equals 2/7, I've got my y equals mx plus b, and I don't know what b is, I know what m is. Now here's the thing, I could choose one of these points to figure out what b is. What it's saying is that if I choose an x, and I know what the y value is, and I know that that exists on that line, then I can figure out what b is. Here's what I mean. M is -2/7, right? I'm going to choose a point. Why don't we choose a point -3, 2. That means x is equal to -3, 2, y equals 2, and I know for a fact that that point exists on that line because they told me to make the line that corresponds with that point. So my x is actually -3, my y is +2, and my b, well, I'm just going to leave it as b. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to figure out what b is equal to. So let's see, this is 2 equals to +6/7 plus b, and then I have 2 minus 6/7 equals b. I just took the 6/7 and put it on the other side. Now I have to subtract fractions. I'm going to do some chalkboard math if that's alright with you. I'm going to change this 2 over to be 14/7. That's the same as 2. Then 14 minus 6 is 8. Is 8?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's equal to 8/7. My b is 8/7. So if I wanted to give you the equation of this line, I now figured out what the b is, and I figured out what the m is. So my y equals mx plus b is simply y equals -2/7x plus 8/7. 8/7, if you were to plug that into your calculator, you would get 1.14. The 1.14 is, as you can see, is a little bit bigger than 1, but less than 2, which is what we guessed. This is the exact answer. From this, you can only get a guessed answer. Now, one way to check this is to take your other point that you had, -3, 2, and actually, you know what, I use that point. I can take my other point and see if that works. If I plug in a 4 into here, I wonder if I will get 0. So if I plug in x equals 4, so I'll have y equals -2/7 times 4 plus 8/7. This is actually y equals -8/7 plus 8/7, which is also known as 0. Which is good because that corresponds to this point right here. So I can guarantee that this equation right here is pretty accurate. Do you concur?